that they're not. You could just tell when someone's not against it. But they could never have been elected if they'd said, yes, we're pro-gay marriage. So they didn't. But I thought it was, profoundly moving to read Stephen Harper's speech. If people haven't read it, it's up on our MySpace page, myspace.com/Tegan and Sarah. But there's some really amazing quotes in there, and the one of them that I was really moved by was, we are all lessened when any one of us is denied a fundamental right. Another was, we must always remember that separate but equal is not equal, because a lot of people talk about, well, why don't we just give gay people the right to have a civil union, but then everyone else can get married, and that's just not the same. It's just, until it's the same for everyone, it won't be seen as equal. So it's a really, really amazing speech. So you can go and read it there. We have it up on the site. So, I read that, and I'm so proud to be Canadian because, I think that to have the leader of our country saying that, that you can't leave, you can't leave it up to the country to put it up to popular vote to decide about a civil right for a minority group. So I think that says it best,
Well, it is a bizarre irony that came up with this election, and a cynical, dark underlying irony as well. But were you in Barack's acceptance speech, Barack Obama's acceptance speech? He mentioned gay, straight. He went through all the minorities, sure. but up to a point, I guess.
Well, we're at a point in America and Canada and a lot of places where it's comfortable for us to say, we're not going to put them in prison, but we're not going to necessarily let them get married, because that married and God and the church, everything, it's still so intertwined that we can say, we're not going to, nobody at this point in time, obviously crazy people, but no one in a powerful position, running for, the head of an office like the presidency of the United States is going to say, well, we don't think that gay people should have equal rights. They're just going to, but it's this idea that, well, we'll give them some rights. We'll define them as, equal to us in some ways, but not equal totally. And I think that's just where we're at. But it's something like the last couple of days I've been talking a lot. Obviously, been blogging a lot about it and rallying people. Working to campaign to help people keep this visible. This was the most expensive proposition ever. They spent nearly $70 million on both, between the two sides, campaigning and advertising and marketing these two sides in California. And so it's important that doesn't go to waste. Because that was a grandiose waste of money, in my opinion. I can't believe how many people would have rallied for this when there's so much going on in America and there's so many issues. I just don't understand why this would be the one that people would put money into. But I think that it's important that we stay positive. We're 10 years ahead of where most people thought we would be with gay marriage. And I think that, there's been a huge, huge change in America, and I think that having a president under 50 who's African American, who's very liberal and progressive in a lot of ways, is really going to change America. And we have to realize that it might not be this term, but in the next term or two, we are going to see huge change. And I guarantee that gay marriage will be, something that we're not debating in a few years. And someone sent me a statistic, and I haven't checked it, so I don't know if this is actually real, but apparently 67% of the voters who voted no on Proposition 8 were under 30, and that speaks volumes about where America is going, where the world is going. I think we're becoming much more open-minded, and I think that the people right now who are not understanding what this proposition meant, or who think, I don't believe that gay people should get married. I really think that you should educate yourself. I think that you need to recognize that, that there is change happening, and that, not too long ago, women didn't have the right to vote, and women didn't have the right to make decisions in their household, and not too long after that, we were still fighting for people of minorities to have the right to vote, and biracial couples weren't allowed to get married.
Barack's
we've done
parents,
incredibly sad and horrible things in our history, and I think this is just another chapter in that, and that it will change, and we'll look back and be like, oh my God, can you believe people didn't think we could get married?
Well, this is one of the ironies. Obama's parents' marriage would have been illegal in several states at the time of their marriage. So what happens next in this process? How do people that care the same way you do get involved in this process?
I was saying this. I've been talking a lot about how, there was a moment in our own career. Sarah and I have been out our whole career, but it became irrelevant and then relevant and then irrelevant. It changes from record to record when people decide it matters again about our sexuality. And I remember playing our biggest show ever and this was like 4 or 5 years ago at the time. It was our biggest show ever, and it was in Edmonton, and there was probably like 1,700 people there, and I was standing at the side of the stage and became really emotional and overwhelmed when I looked out at the audience, because I realized how mixed it was. I realized that the first 300 people that I could see didn't seem to me, by stereotypical, judgments, gay. And I thought, what an incredible moment for me, like to realize that people, that their passion and that their love of our music and of us, has transcended any ignorance that they might be feeling about who I am and the sexuality that I have. And I just had this moment where I was like profoundly moved, because the majority of our audience, I think, probably didn't, have hatred or ignorance towards gay people, but we are growing up and living in a homophobic society, and so the fact that they're there and that they're supporting us and that they're buying 300-400 T-shirts a night from us and going out and wearing those shirts proudly, it means a lot. And I think that at this point in time, all that we can do is try to get the people around us to understand, because I think people will be surprised. I asked a lot of people in my life what they thought about this, or asked them to speak out or to come to rallies, and a lot of people that I know and love were kind of like, well, is this really that big of an issue? And I mean, they're just trying to say that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I think right now, there are a lot of people organizing and getting ready to go after the government and to continue to try to change this. And obviously, anyone who wants to get involved can do that. But I think on a grassroots level, for those of us that aren't ready to organize and move to America and be part of, getting gay marriage legalized in America, I think it's just looking at the people around you and educating them. And not being ignorant on this issue, and recognizing and learning about the parallels between this civil rights movement and every civil rights movement we've seen in America and in North America and the world. I think that it doesn't mean you have to come up with $10 million. I think you just have to go to your family and talk about this sort of stuff and realize that there are more and more people. I mean, they say 1 in 10 people are gay, so that's a lot of people. And everyone knows someone that's gay, and everyone has been affected by someone that's gay in their life, and I think that it's important that we support them. And whether you're gay or straight, we need allies right now in this cause. And Canada is, obviously ahead of the movement, but we're America's hat, and we need to be a part of that, and we need to support them in this time.
Thank you very much, Tegan. It was great to talk to you.